The Valdorian council chamber fell silent as Emma Martinez stepped forward, her combat boots echoing against the crystalline floor. Around her, alien dignitaries from across the galaxy watched with expressions ranging from curiosity to outright hostility. At the center of it all sat High Arbiter Zexthal, his 6 eyes gleaming with what could only be described as anticipation. Human, the towering insectoid being clicked through his translator. You stand accused of violating the sacred covenant of non-interference. The penalty is death by trial of essence, a test that has claimed the lives of warriors from 17 different species. Emma's partner, Alexander Chen, stood in the observation gallery, his knuckles white as he gripped the railing. He had tried everything to prevent this moment: diplomatic appeals, legal challenges, even offering himself in her place. But Emma had been resolute. She would face the consequences of her actions. 3 days earlier, Emma had done the unthinkable. While serving as a cultural liaison aboard the research vessel Prometheus, she had interfered in what the Galactic Council deemed a natural evolutionary process. The planet Kepler 442b had been dying, its primitive humanoid inhabitants facing extinction from a plague that would have wiped them out within a generation. The Council had designated it a protected observation zone, meaning no advanced species could interfere, regardless of the moral implications. Emma had seen the children dying in the settlement below their hidden observation post. She had watched mothers weep over silent cradles, fathers dig graves with their bare hands. When the research team's xenobiologist discovered that a simple genetic therapy could neutralize the plague, Emma had made her choice. Under cover of darkness, she had descended to the planet's surface, distributed the cure to water sources across 3 continents, and saved an entire species. The Council had detected the intervention within hours. Now, as she stood before the assembled representatives of 47 worlds, Emma showed no regret. "I understand the charges," she said, her voice steady. "I accept the trial." Zexthal's mandibles clicked in what Alexander had learned was amusement. Bold words from such a fragile species. "The trial of essence will pit you against the nexus beast, a creature born from the psychic energy of a dying star. It feeds on life force itself, growing stronger with each victim. In 3,000 years, only one being has ever survived the encounter." "Who?" Emma asked. "A Voltrani war champion, enhanced with cybernetic implants and genetic modifications. Even he emerged crippled, his lifespan reduced to mere decades." The High Arbiter leaned forward. "You human possess no such enhancements. Your species is known for your creativity, but creativity cannot shield you from a being that devours souls." The trial chamber materialized around Emma, a spherical arena suspended in the void of space, its walls transparent aluminum providing a perfect view of the dying red giant beyond. Gravity generators hummed to life and oxygen flooded the space. In the center of the arena, reality seemed to bend and twist as something began to take shape. The Nexus beast was unlike anything Emma had ever imagined. It existed simultaneously as energy and matter, its form shifting between a massive serpentine creature and a writhing mass of pure darkness. Tendrils of psychic force lashed out from its core, seeking something to drain, to consume. Alexander pressed his face against the observation window, watching his partner face down a creature that had terrorized the galaxy for millennia. Around him, alien spectators placed bets on how long the human would last. The most optimistic gave her 30 seconds. The beast struck first, launching a wave of psychic energy that would have paralyzed most sentient beings. But Emma didn't freeze. Instead, she did something that made every alien in the chamber recoil in shock. She smiled. "You know what your problem is?" Emma said, pulling a small device from her belt. A standard human neural interface modified with components she had salvaged from the Prometheus. "You've never faced someone who grew up watching horror movies." The creature's psychic assault intensified, but Emma had spent her childhood terrified by nightmares, had learned to lucid dream as a teenager, had trained her mind to compartmentalize fear during her military service. While other species' minds crumbled under the beast's influence, Emma's human brain, evolved from prey animals who had learned to think clearly under extreme duress, adapted. She activated the neural interface, and suddenly, the arena filled with images from Earth's entertainment archives. Horror films, war documentaries, news footage of humanity's darkest moments, but also their triumphs. Every human victory snatched from the jaws of defeat. Every time her species had refused to surrender when all hope seemed lost. The nexus beast, accustomed to feeding on the organized thoughts of advanced civilizations, recoiled as it encountered the beautiful chaos of human consciousness. Emma's mind was a labyrinth of contradictions, capable of incredible compassion and terrible violence, of creating art while contemplating destruction, of loving deeply while remaining ready to kill for survival. But more than that, Emma carried within her the collective unconscious of her entire species. Every human who had ever stared into the darkness and decided to light a candle instead. Every person who had faced impossible odds and found a way to win through sheer, bloody-minded stubbornness. The beast tried to drain her life force, but Emma's consciousness fought back with a ferocity that surprised even her. She had saved an entire species because it was the right thing to do, and she would be damned if she was going to die for it now. The creature's form began to destabilize as Emma pushed harder, flooding the connection with raw human emotion. Not just fear, but anger, love, hope, and an absolutely unbreakable will to survive. The beast, designed to consume ordered thoughts and disciplined minds, found itself choking on the beautiful madness of human experience. With a sound like reality tearing, the nexus beast collapsed in on itself and vanished. Emma stood alone in the arena, breathing hard but very much alive. Her nose was bleeding and her hands were shaking, but when the arena dissolved and she found herself back in the council chamber, she was grinning. High Arbiter Zexthul stared at her in stunned silence. Around the chamber, representatives from dozens of worlds sat in shock. A human, a species they had dismissed as young and primitive, had just accomplished something that had been thought impossible. How? Zexthul finally managed. Emma wiped the blood from her nose with the back of her hand, leaving a dark stain on her sleeve. You assumed the beast was invincible because it had always faced civilized minds. But humans aren't civilized, not deep down. We're the descendants of persistence hunters who chased mammoths across continents. We're the species that looked at fire and decided to steal it. We're the people who stared into space and decided it belonged to us too. She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of every being present. You want to know what makes humans dangerous? We don't know when to quit. And we sure as hell don't abandon our own. Alexander was the first to start clapping. The sound echoed through the chamber and slowly other beings began to join in. Not all of them. Some species would always see humanity as a threat. But enough. High Arbiter Zexthul's 6 eyes focused on Emma with something approaching respect. The charges against you are dismissed. Perhaps the Council has underestimated your species' potential contributions to galactic civilization. As Emma and Alexander walked out of the chamber together, she looked down at the blood on her boots, evidence of a trial that was supposed to kill her, that had instead announced humanity's arrival on the galactic stage in the most dramatic way possible. So, Alexander said as they reached the transport bay, any regrets? Emma grinned, still tasting copper from her nosebleed. Only that I didn't record it. The look on that bug's face when I started feeding his pet monster episodes of The Twilight Zone? Priceless. Behind them, the Council continued their session, but everything had changed. Humanity was no longer the young species to be managed and contained. They were the people who had killed the unkillable and walked away laughing. They were the ones who, when told something couldn't be done, asked, "Hold my beer and watch this." And the galaxy would never be the same.